How are we doing, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV, live on Facebook and YouTube, as always, Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. with MUFC Daily, giving you all the latest Manchester United news every single morning, live. Answering your questions and giving you shout-outs. Where are you watching this from? Let me know in the comments, as always. And if there are any questions you want me to answer during the show, let me know in the comments. But let's get straight into the main story today. Paul Pogba, we've been waiting for him to return since September. And he was supposed to be returning against Newcastle this weekend. That is what reports last week said. Said that Paul Pogba has returned to training. He's had a long rehabilitation. He's now training with the reserves team and he's going to be ready in time to face Newcastle on Saturday night. Now, we've got James Ducker from the Telegraph. James Ducker, one of the most established and trusted Manchester-based journalists. He is saying that Paul Pogba is unlikely to feature against Newcastle. Now, this is mainly down to Jose Mourinho taking a safety precaution, I suppose you can call it, in not bringing Paul Pogba back to action too soon because he doesn't want Paul Pogba to aggravate any sort of injury. He wants him to be 100% fit and ready for when he returns. So it sounds like, well, if James Ducker is correct, Jose Mourinho is not going to risk Paul Pogba against Newcastle United, and we will have to instead wait for the other games that are coming up in December. Let me pull these fixtures up for you. Who have we got after Newcastle? FC Basel away, and then we've got Brighton at home and Watford away before the first big one in December, Arsenal away on the 2nd of December. Will we be able to cope without Paul Pogba before then? The toughest game out of those four, Watford away. Certainly Marco Silva doing a great job with Watford. But let me know in the comments now, do you think Man United should be risking Paul Pogba against Newcastle if it is a risk, whether it's a 5 or 10% risk of an injury, or should we just wait another couple of games and try to cope without him? Let me know in the comments. Let's get straight through to a few shout outs for you. We've got Takul watching from Zimbabwe, Christian Ivanov watching from Bulgaria. Good morning, mate. Nicholas Myers, as always, tuning in from Barcelona. Anya Uchechukwu watching from Nigeria. Sebastian watching from Georgia. Jams watching from Essex. Sharath watching from Bengaluru in India. Kengleng Sim watching from Singapore. Power Dave watching from Sweden. You must be hungover this morning, Power Dave, after what Sweden did last night to Italy. Patrick Doob watching from South Africa. And Valker watching from Massachusetts, USA. And Mahir watching from Finland. Whew, loads of you. Now, what about Facebook? We've got Adam Glazebrook watching from Nottingham. Good morning to you. Maxton Lowe, as always, tuning in from Malaysia. Alex Ken watching from Dubai. Top Man Demar watching from Orlando, Florida. Good morning to you. Prince Jeff watching from Thailand. Let's read now a few of your comments out about Paul Pogba. I asked you, do you think that he should be used against Newcastle if it is a slight chance of injury? Got Jai Gujathari saying he should be on the bench and if required, bring him on. Let Martial, Lukaku and Rashford play up front. I'd love to see that at some point. Adam Glazebrook saying he needs some game time or he may be rusty. I think Pogba strikes me as a player that can come back in straight away and find his rhythm very quickly. Unlike Wayne Rooney, who, you know, he needed like 3 or 4 games to get his rhythm back. Pogba's a natural athlete. He should be back playing towards his best. Not almost straight away, but he'll slip right back into the team. Got Max and Lowe saying use Pogba against Basel. What about on YouTube? What do you think about this Pogba situation? Nicholas saying, not a chance we risk him. We should manage this month without him. Next month is the big one. Arsenal and Man City. If we look throughout, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in December. Is it 8? No, we've got 9 games in December. It's a mad 28-day period. We've got Arsenal away, CSK in Moscow at home. It's Man City at home, Bournemouth at home, West Brom away, Bristol City away, Leicester City away, Burnley at home, and then Southampton at home. We need Paul Pogba back for that situation, for those games. Hark back to when Louis van Gaal went through the festive fixture period. That was abysmal. I don't think we won a game in and we lost 3 or 4. That was a horrific, that was when everybody started to talk about Louis van Gaal being sacked as Manchester United manager. Jose Mourinho had a good December in his first year in charge, but we need a strong one. We're playing Arsenal and Man City. Man City, that is going to be one hell of a derby on the 10th of December. How confident are you feeling about that? Let me know in the comments. Got Paul Edozie saying Pogba's been playing with the reserves. He should be rested a bit and not rushed back. Pram Malik saying he can be on the bench and play for 10 minutes and increase his time every single game. We've got Mickey saying he should put him in for the hardest matches, but leave him on the bench for the time being. Anya saying he shouldn't be rushed back, he can come off the bench. Most of you saying, I say most of you, I'm not sure anybody who actually said start him straight away. You all want to see Paul Pogba managed correctly in terms of not risking any sort of injury aggravation. And it's certainly the safer route, but Man United have been struggling without Paul Pogba in the team, haven't we? Nemanja Matic has been fantastic the whole way through, but he cannot run that midfield on his own. And Herrera has been underperforming, Henrik Mkhitaryan's been bang out of form, and because of that, Matic's responsibilities have been way too much. And Matic hasn't been able to cope with it. And we need Pogba back in this team. Remember the start of the season? We had Pogba alongside Matic, we had Lukaku scoring, we had Pogba assisting, we had Mkhitaryan banging form. And you look at this United team now, Lukaku's gone a few games without scoring for his club, not his country. He scored 2 for Belgium against Mexico. Pogba's been out since September. Mkhitaryan's been bang out of form for a few games. All that early momentum and the players that were playing well at the start of the season, we don't have them at the moment, which is why Man United are struggling. You take 3 top performing players out of any team, they're always going to struggle. I've got Jimmy Chalmers saying bench Pogba just in case and bring him on if needed, and Lin Yang Nang saying he shouldn't be rushed back into the straight 11 but put him on the bench first. Maybe we'll see him on the bench against Newcastle United, and that'll be a big step towards Pogba returning into action, full action as soon as possible. As I said, you've got Newcastle at home, FC Basel away. We're already qualified for the Champions League. Don't need to risk him against Basel, but maybe that's a game where we can give him some game time. Brighton and Hove Albion at home on the 25th, followed by Watford away 3 days later. The toughest game out of those 4 is definitely the Watford, but Newcastle at home, even though they haven't scored in a couple of games, they will be tough, so let's not underestimate that game. I just want to see Pogba back as soon as possible, but I completely understand if he's delayed by 1 or 2 or 3 games just to make sure that he's not going to aggravate an injury, because the worst thing that could happen will be Pogba comes back in, plays for 20 minutes, pops his hamstring and goes for another 2-3 months, and we don't have him until February, and then we're looking at Champions League knockout games. That's the worst case scenario. We have struggled without him, let's be honest. We're 8 points behind Manchester City, but as long as we have him back for those Arsenal and Man City games, I believe this squad is strong enough to cope without him, and it should be. I mean, our performances have been poor recently, but we should be beating Newcastle at home, let's be honest. We should be beating Basel away, and if we don't, we're already top of the group. We should be beating Brighton at home. Watford away is definitely the toughest game there. I wouldn't guarantee 3 points there at all. Marco Silva's Watford are a very tough team this year, and I probably want him back for then, and that's just before we play Arsenal 4 days later, both of them away in London. Tough. Now let's read a few more of your YouTube comments. Valkyr saying we need 1 more point to qualify from the Champions League. We do, but we're top with 12 points after 4 games. We may need 1 more point, sorry, but we're in cruise control. Mkhitaryan should return to form now, says Kevin Grant. I absolutely hope so, Kevin, because let's be honest, we can all be brutal here and say that Mkhitaryan has been pony in the last few games. It was the Huddersfield away, it was Spurs at home, and it was Chelsea away, the 3 games that stand out for me, where Mkhitaryan just was invisible. Going from the man who got 5 assists in August, I think he's still on 5 assists, or he's got 6 assists now. Either way, Mkhitaryan had a flourishing start, but has floundered since, and we need him back among the assists as soon as possible, because without him and without Pogba, Lukaku is not getting the opportunities he needs to score. Got Mark Quinton saying, great channel by the way, thank you for the shout out, Mark, saying fingers crossed we'll have Pogba, Rojo and Zlatan back for December. Imagine that would be a great situation. Rojo, do we need Rojo to start in defence? Let me know whether you say yes or no in the comments now. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I think he should be coming in and probably starting as a number 10 for Manchester United if he is going to start, and obviously getting Pogba back. Jones, it sounds like he's going to miss the Newcastle game. He went off with a hamstring injury, well, looked like a hamstring injury, for England against Germany. Doesn't sound like he's going to be risked. So we're going to have Eric Bailly probably alongside maybe Victor Lindelof. After his 2 clean sheets for Sweden against Italy, he had a barnstorming international break. He needed that sort of momentum builder. Maybe he will be coming back in. Aftab Ali saying we need to properly attack. We do, but we need the assists and we need the creativity from midfield. That is what is stopping Manchester United at the moment. And until Paul Pogba comes back, I don't think that's going to properly be resolved. Got Max and Lowe saying, yes, bring Rojo back in, and so does Akil, so does Camo Shaka. All three of you on Facebook think that Rojo should come back in. Sushil Pandey saying yes, Rojo should start. So does Soraj. Daniel Loftus says yes. Mohammed Rafi, he says yes. Oh, there's no one saying no. Rojo, let's remember that last year, at the start of last year, in the summer, Rojo was one of the first players that I wanted Jose Mourinho to sell. Hands up, I got it completely wrong. Rojo was one of those players that just flourished and grew as a player under Jose Mourinho. And were it not for his cruel hamstring injury against Celta Vigo, I think it was in the semi of the Europa, him and Zlatan Ibrahimovic both would have started that Europa League final against Ajax. He hasn't played since, but hopefully he'll be back as soon as possible. And if we can have Rojo back, Pogba back, Mkhitaryan back in form, and Ibrahimovic returning in December, this United squad will look a hell of a lot more prepared for those crazy 9 fixtures, including Man City at home and Arsenal away in that December fixture period, than we would be if they're not in the team. So fingers crossed that happens. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a like on this video as well. We'll be here tomorrow morning with more news at 10. And we're also going to have some build-up with a starting 11 and a prediction show for the Newcastle game. Until tomorrow, take it easy.